And we're back. This is Elliot Serrano and Jose Melendez coming to you from... Whoa. Too much Coke. Coming to you from Dreamland Comics in Schaumburg, Illinois. I know you guys are glad to see us back here. Hopefully these videos look better than the last. But anyway. We are now at the part that we call Last Rants. And you guys love Last Rants. You always love Last Rants. But we want to start Last Rants with a review. Because, you know, the last series of segments we totally ripped on a DC book. Remember?
A couple of them.
That was it, but that, I mean, just saying, let's just say Last Rants led us into, last series of Last Rants was kicked off by a DC book that we just hated.
With good reason.
Let's start a review, a rave. Let's start Last Rants with a rave. And that would be for Justice League Lost Generation, or Justice League Generation Lost. By Keith Giffen, Judd Winnick, Aaron Lopresti, and well, they've switched up here. Okay.
Yeah, well, it's a bi-weekly comic,
bi-weekly.
So the art is going to change. Lopresti did the first one, Joe Bennett did the second one, and the third one I think has a different artist on top of that.
Telling the story, it's kind of revolving around the former members of the Justice League International. You know, Maxwell Lord is back. Their old boss, the guy that brought them together in the beginning, is back. And Maxwell Lord turned out to be a real, you know, ruthless mofo. He's back after Blackest Night, after a whole bunch of bad shit went down, even with Wonder Woman. And they've got a deal. The first issue here starts this whole thing where, because the Maxwell Lord is back, and the thing someone explained to me why this didn't happen. Why didn't anybody just grab him when they saw him come back at the end of Blackest Night? You know, like you see all these characters have returned, and you go, oh shit, it's Maxwell Lord, somebody grab him. Well, no one did, because now he's loose, and Superman has to hold this huge press conference saying, this guy's dangerous. This guy is the one guy who came the closest to bringing us all down, so we need to catch him. What happens from that? So, the first issue of Justice League Generation Lost really sets up a lot of stuff. There is a lot of setup here. Yeah. A lot of setup. You have what Booster Gold is going through kind of as the linchpin of the whole thing. Booster Gold takes exception to the idea that the Justice League, the main Justice League, is kind of spearheading the whole let's get at Maxwell Lord, and they weren't really the ones who worked with Maxwell Lord. You know, Booster's saying, hey, he knew us. We were the ones who worked under him. We should be involved in this, and he's kind of being, you know, pushed aside. Then you set up this whole thing with Checkmate and other organizations within the government and their superheroes having to relate to each other, and then you bring Captain Atom into the whole mix. There is so much that happens in this first issue. It's hard to get into a review about it without, you know, getting too spoilerish. Let's just say there's a lot of shit that went down in this book.
Well, they're bringing all the characters back from, I mean, they're trying to make this into another a continuation of the Justice League International book. And a lot of these characters that are secondary and tertiary characters, right, you, and a lot of people might not know what their deals are.
Right. But a lot of shit goes on in this book, and I was going to say, but for good purpose. Right. As you said, these are characters you might not have seen for a while, and you want to know, like, where were they during all this? They're bringing them back into the fold, and everything kind of makes sense. Now, again, Maxwell Lord is kind of turning into like the Hannibal Lecter of the DCU. I mean, because he seems, I mean, not that he's going to kill and eat people, but he's this cunning mastermind type, and everyone's hunting for him, and there seems, you know, he's always a step ahead, and then when he needs to be, he's a brutal mofo. He's a real brutal mofo. The first issue of Generation Lost ends it's kind of a clever way, but it kind of like the only way it could end, because if you're Maxwell Lord and you know every friggin' superhero on the planet is looking for you, how are you going to deal with that?
Well, here's the thing. Right at State Number 0, the ending of this issue was in Brightest Day number 0.
Yeah.
And for those of you who remember me talking about Brightest Day 0, and then I was complaining about the fact like, oh, Maxwell Lord just mind wipes everybody, and you know, because it's another mind wipe story. No one remembers who he is, like, and that was bullshit. I still think it's fucking bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
But now that's mandate. I think that was Jeff Johns, or it was mandate from editorial saying this is where we're gonna go, and that's just how it is.
You gotta figure out
now
a way to make it work.
Now it's up to Keith Giffen and Judd Winnick to make that work,
right,
and not make it be as lame as a concept as it is.
Right.
And they did.
They did. No, they made it work. They made it work. And if anything, you know, I mean, I was saying the same thing. Oh, come on, really? But if you want to tell this story, you're kind of forced to go in that direction. Man, there's some good moments. I mean, especially going back to issue 1 where Booster Gold confronts Maxwell Lord and he says, look, you're a killer. You killed Ted Cord. You know, you're a murderer, da-da-da. And Maxwell Lord says, look, there were reasons why I did it. I regret doing it, but I had to do it. He goes, but think about it. I was dead, and for some reason the universe thought to bring me back. Whose side do you think you really need to be on? So that's a kind of a nice little character moment brought about by this. Mind you, as I was reading it, I was going, well, it's not so much the universe said Maxwell Lord should come back, but Jeff Johns.
Yeah.
But, you know, within the purposes of the story, that's the way the characters are going to look at it. Second issue, I don't know. I mean, the first issue was a great setup. The second issue, we're seeing more of how the change affects all the characters within the main DCU. And there's a great moment.
We should also mention that the Justice League International were at the epicenter of this whole thing when Maxwell Lord made everyone forget, so they're the only ones that remember Maxwell Lord. Everybody else
will forget, and so they're feeling kind of woo-hoo.
And Maxwell Lord has also gone some extra mileage to discredit them.
Yes. There's a set that I felt Judd Winnick's touch in this. There's a scene between Batman, Dick Grayson Batman, and Booster Gold, where I'm like going, man, I am going to miss this Batman when Bruce Wayne comes back. I really am. I'm going to miss this Batman because he does. There's just these great little moments that he has, and then you know you sense Keith Giffen's touch in the Guy Gardner scenes, and all these other things that are going on. You know, I don't know, how long is this supposed to run for?
I think it's supposed to run like 20-some issues.
20-some issues?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if this story can go that far.
I don't know either. But
You know?
I mean, I'm still interested in it, and I'm still going to keep reading it. But I do like the biggest thing. And again, I love when they always just downplay Booster Gold. Like they always just beat that character down. Well,
he kind of sets himself up for it, though.
Right, but I mean, you have the first issue. You have Power Girl being like, you know what, stay out of it. Go do something else. You know, when he's trying to help the Justice League
right,
or the Justice Society, she's like, why don't you go do something else? You know, we can handle this. And in this issue, what's his name? Maxwell Lord. I don't know, I remember that. Maxwell Lord does something to discredit every character in here, right? Something.
Go on.
What the fuck are you doing? You know, or you know, Captain Atom, he gets him pretty much in trouble with the military by making him see stuff that's not there.
Yeah.
Ice gets into it with Guy Gardner because something happened during Blackest Night where she really just lost favor with Green Lanterns, but we don't know what that is.
Right.
Fire gets fired from Checkmate.
Checkmate, right. And by Wonder Woman, no less. I mean, man, like, ouch. You know, well, Wonder Woman tells him, you know, you've been dismissed from Checkmate. It's like, ow. And then when it comes down to it, and Booster Gold's like, well, why is he doing all this to you guys? He didn't do anything to me. And they're like, well, I think that's the point. He thinks that you can't get any. You can't get any. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't do anything.
And I was like, God damn, like, that's pretty brutal. But the one thing that he did do to Booster Gold, kind of, was the fact that now everyone believes that Ted Cord killed himself.
Yes, that he committed suicide.
And that's the driving force for Booster Gold to get this team together, because they don't want to be together at all. But he's like, you know, you're gonna do this, and we're gonna do this for Ted Cord because I can't, you know, they can't have everyone think that he just killed himself.
But didn't for a brief time, didn't they bring back Ted Kord in the Booster Gold mini?
Yeah, but that was in the past, though.
That was in the past?
It was a time travel story.
All right, okay. So yeah, we'll see how long this goes. I mean, I'll say, I guess if this is going to be like a bi-weekly thing, you know, how much is the book?
It's $2.99 right now, but the thing that's going to get us in the last rants is that starting in August, DC is starting to pump up
Everything's
the prices.
going up to $3.99.
Eventually, not everything in August, but here's the thing: this is going to be like a 20-some odd issue story, and it's at $2.99 right now, and it's coming out bi-weekly.
Right.
You pump that up to $3.99, that kills the book.
That's
right there.
Yeah.
I mean, because this is already on the cusp of like people like, do I really want this? Do I not really want it?
Right.
It's an enjoyable book. It is very good, but is it $3.99 good? I don't think so. At least not right now.
Well, Jose and I had this conversation, and this sort of thing also came up on the blog when it was in regards to American Vampire.
Because American Vampire is $3.99 currently, but it's like, you know, pretty much 32 to 40 pages of art because it's Stephen King is writing a backup story. But coming August, the Stephen King story is going to be done, and it's just going to be a regular 22-page art story.
Right.
It's going to be $3.99.
$3.99, and you know, Jose had written a post about how, you know, it was unfortunate if it's going to be like that, then some books have got to go, and American Vampire was going to be one of those. And Scott himself posted on the blog. Scott Snyder, writer, posted on the blog. He was sorry to hear that, but no, I'm sorry. He wrote to us. He wrote to me directly via the channel email address. You know what was happening. That DC is raising the price of all the books, and you know, I feel, because again, also as a creator myself, you know now that what little advantage you had of having your book be a little lower price than anybody else's books, especially the top name creators, you know, you've lost that advantage because now people have to choose between a Jeff Johns book and a Scott Snyder book. And, you know, whatever little leverage you had is now gone, and that's tough. That makes it really tough on creators who are trying to get something new out there.
And actually, after Scott Snyder emailed us and voiced his concern and let us know about that, I made the choice, like, you know what, that was very cool that he did that. You know, him and everyone at American Vampire, everyone who's involved in it wants the price to stay, but, you know, it's just mandate. But the fact was that, you know what, I respect the fact that he did that, and I'm just going to continue to buy it, even though it's going to be $3.99. But from here on out, any time that a book raises in price, and I'm going to continue to buy it, one of the other books that the company's putting out, I'm just dropping.
Yeah, got to drop it. Yeah.
And I post on the blog. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to continue to buy American Vampire because I do like the writing in there, but I just didn't like the fact that it was going to be $3.99 and they were taking all this, you know, extra stuff away, because $3.99 books really should have extra stuff in it.
Right.
But if this is going to be the new thing where everything's going to be 22 pages of art for $3.99, then I'm not going to deal with it. There's just going to be some stuff that I've been on the fence about that I'm going to drop, and I post on the blog, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to continue buying American Vampire, but I'm done with Green Lantern. Mm-hmm. I took it off my club list, and that's, you know, it's just one of those things that is the same old, and I'm going to be dropping comic stuff in right now, because if everything's going up to $3.99, guess what, I'm not paying $3.99 for everything. Yeah,
because we've had these talks in the past. I mean, what the publishers are kind of banking on is that you're not going to want to break that run. So that when they raise that price, they're going to say, oh, okay, well, you know, you're not going to want to have that big gap in your Green Lantern run, because if something happens later on and you decide you want to start picking up the book again, you will have missed all those issues.
Well, that's another thing. I was looking forward to the new Green Lantern book that was coming out that Pete Tomasi was going to write that has Guy Gardner in it.
Right.
But it's $3.99 and 32 pages. Guess what? I'm not even going to start that series.
And they're pushing, and again, right now, they're kind of pushing folks. We saw this happening with Marvel. They're pushing folks towards the trades. Because if you buy trades, I mean, even if you can't get them necessarily at your shop for a discount, you can always find them on Barnes & Noble or Amazon, you know, on discount. There are companies that sell trades at steep discounts. You can get, you know, up to 50% off a trade paperback, you know, from some online companies. So that's kind of killing. And I know we've been, you know, this sort of lament has been said in the past that the dailies or the monthlies were getting killed. We're not saying that the monthlies are what's getting killed. We're not saying that the raising the price itself. It's that combination of increasing the number of books you have out there and increasing the price. If you want to increase the number of books you have out there but keep the prices the same, that's not as much of a shock.
That's one thing, but we've already talked about how DC is going to be in an expansion year.
Yeah.
And you're going to see more stuff from DC, but all at $3.99, fuck that.
A lot of the stuff that we've criticized Marvel about in the past, a lot of the stuff about them putting out a lot of product and kind of choking the market.
Well, here's the thing. Can you really, DC is a company, can you really blame them? I don't like the fact that they're doing it, but it worked for Marvel. All the fucking Marvel zombies jumped on there. They didn't care what they were paying for. They didn't care how much they were paying for. And it worked for Marvel.
Yeah, because if you're a
publisher, if you're a publisher who's number 2 publisher, and you're like, well, look at how well they're doing with those prices. We might as well just start doing it now.
Yeah,
I mean, it was an eventuality. It was gonna happen.
Yeah,
I just kind of wish that it didn't happen.
Yeah, I know. Again, back to the eventuality, and we've had conversations about this. To me, when you consider that both DC and Marvel, they're comic book. Let's be honest here. We love the comics. As far as the business goes, you know, we understand that. But the reality is, in today's media age, the comic books exist solely to generate licenses for the overall media empire. Now that Marvel is a part of Disney, okay, Marvel Comics is never going out of business.
Right.
Pure and simple. It's not that they have to worry about paying their bills from month to month. They are never going out of business. As long as you're a part of Disney, you're always going to be there. Mind you, maybe not to the same extent that they are now. Maybe Marvel won't be able to publish as many books as they do now. But as being part of a big media conglomerate, you don't have to worry about Marvel ever going anywhere.
Remember when, before this whole Disney thing happened, how like Marvel Zombies were talking about like how, you know, well, DC sucks and their books are cheap, but they're never going to go out of business because Warner Brothers will never let them do that. Well, guess what? Fucking Disney bought Marvel, and now it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Why don't, since Disney owns them now, Marvel's not going anywhere, fucking lower the prices.
See, and that's the thing that I have a hard time wrapping my brain around, which is, you know, how is it that this publishing wing that is expected to generate licenses for you, you know, what is the expectation as far as profit? Now, both Disney and Warner Brothers Entertainment are publicly traded companies, so you're going to have the publishing wings are going to say we have stockholders that we need to answer to, and blase, blase, blase. You know, that's the rationalization for it. But when it comes down to the nitty-gritty of it, companies aren't going to change anything that they're doing, okay? They're just not going to change it. You can rationalize it from the publishing point of view, fine. The only thing that's going to change that is if our habits change and it's become painfully obvious that the comic book reader, the fanboy, the DC reader, the Marvel zombie, we won't change our habits. We pure and simple won't change our habits.
Well, I've changed my habits. It's very easy to do.
Really? Well, for you, but come on. How many? No, I mean, how many readers are going to do the same thing you do? How many readers do you think are seriously going to drop Green Lantern for American Vampire? Honestly,
anyone with half a brain would do it.
Yeah, but it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. But
I'm saying that you go back to the beginning of these videos and how we've been talking about this, talking about how it's going to happen. Now it's finally here. And you can go back and you can talk about, like I said, I stopped buying this book because it was too expensive. I stopped buying this book because I don't like the practices that this business is dealing with. I don't understand how hard it is to make those decisions.
Again, well, we're looking at it from that point of view, again, as we've always been the minority. It's not hard. Me, I'm going to tell you, the number of books I buy has dramatically dropped. I mean, dramatically. You know, even considering that, one, I just don't have the time to read as many as I used to, and two, I just don't like as much stuff as I used to anymore. A lot of the trends that are going on in comics now just do not appeal to me, and I can't just sit there. If it's something that I want to do for entertainment, okay, pure and simple. If I want to be entertained, I will pay money for it so that it entertains me. If it no longer entertains me, I'm not going to pay money for it. I'm not going to go to that movie if it's not going to entertain me. I am not going to watch that particular sports team if they suck.
But you know what? To me, though, I'm kind of having a different approach that this entertainment is not worth this much money to me.
Oh yeah, no,
I mean, I'll be entertained,
too, yeah.
but it's not worth that much money to me anymore.
So again, but it seems like fanboys are able to discount that. That it's like, well, I don't find it's not as good. And I've seen this comment. I'm sorry, I've seen comments even on our boards. Some readers have said, well, it's not as good right now, but I'm going to keep buying it until it gets better. No,
you drop it, and then when it gets better, that's when you pick it up
again. Then you start buying it again,
because it forces it to get better.
Right. If people don't read it, they're going to make it that it needs to be better. So if you keep buying it, there is no incentive for them to change the formula. So it's that really that strange cultural anomaly that exists within the fanboy community that I do not see happening in any other kind of community. I just don't. I name another kind of fan base that will give their money to a certain type of entertainment no matter what, even if it sucks. I mean, I don't even think gamers aren't going to do that.
Oh, I know I don't. I mean, when I'm paying $60 for a game, that game better be fucking awesome, and I better want to play that game for $60.
Yeah, and if other gamers say this game sucks and really don't play it, I mean, well then you know what? It's not going to sell. They're not going to buy it.
Right.
I don't know what else. What other? I mean, hell, even the Cubs. The Cubs are known for having the most fanatical fan base out there. They can't get people there. They got tickets for sale. They can't get people to come to the games because they suck. There's all this stuff going on. People are talking with their money. This doesn't entertain me. I don't like it. This is not my pastime. I don't want to deal with it. I'm not going to give you my money. You drop it, come back later. And don't give me this loyalist fan bullshit where if you're really a fan, you'll stick with it no matter what. That's not the way that the companies are looking at it. I mean, that's really, what they're counting on. That you're going to be a loyalist fan, that no matter what happens, you're going to stick with it. But, again, you're giving up your hard-earned money for this kind of stuff. It's got to be worth your while, worth your time. And then, I don't know. I am just baffled beyond belief that you're going to have loyalists who are going to say no matter what, they're going to stick with whatever. Maybe it's just I'm just jealous because maybe I'll never see that kind of loyalty for one of my books.
Well, but at the end of the day, it's going to be, those loyalists are going to be very lonely because they're going to be the only ones around, and the industry is going to be dead, and they have no one to blame but themselves.
Well, yeah,
everyone's been
we've talked about that.
Talking about the doom and gloom of comics, like how the floppies, the multis are just gonna die.
Right.
But it just gets that much closer.
Yeah.
All the time. And now, remember the increment, the price, even the price increments used to be 60 cents, 75 cents. It was $1. But then you go from $2.99 to $3.99.
Yeah, a whole dollar.
A whole fucking dollar.
Yeah. It wasn't like it went from $2.99 to $3.49 and then up to $1.
Yeah, because even DC did that though. Marvel never did that. DC, remember they were $2.25, $2.50, and then $2.75. Yeah. The $2.75 books were the books like Hellblazer and the Vertigo books that weren't big sellers. That's why they marked them up a little bit. Yeah. But it was still $2.75. Yeah. But then when you go to everything to $2.99, and then you just go to $3.99. Yeah.
Well, no, but again, it's back to what the market will bear, and Marvel showed that market would bear it. A dollar jump in books, and Joe Quesada sat up there and had to talk about it and defend it, and
everybody ate it up,
and everybody ate it, and you did it, and guess what? Everyone proved them right. It basically proved them right. If comic books are to be considered, a form of entertainment that is on level with video games, then you will pay money for it. So, I don't know. The rants, at this point, it seems to feel very repetitive, and I know we've said this sort of thing before, but damn it, we were right. We were right then, and you can go back and you can check the tape.
From the first year, from the first couple months, we started these things.
We started these things. Check the tape. We said that Steve Rogers would end up being the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. He's the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. Check the tape. We said that Wednesday's comics would get collected in a great big collection that's cheaper than if you had bought the original Well, the things themselves. Oh, look at that! It's actually kind of nice. I might even consider buying this. But yeah, so what was Demar's predictions? What did he call himself?
Negrodamus.
Negrodamus. What other predictions are going to come true here on CCW TV in the months and year ahead? I'd like to know. Yeah.
Well, I predicted the fall of Jeff Johns earlier, and
the fall of Jeff Johns.
It's coming.
It is coming. The fall of Jeff Johns. How dare you? Why do you hate Jeff Johns so much?
I know.
Why are you hating on him? Bunch of haters.
I just want him to get better.
I got called Hater Pants not that long ago. I got called a Hater Pants. Haters.
Fucking idiots, man. Jesus.
It was in relation to Lost too. Don't even get me started on that.
I don't even want to get used to it. I don't want to talk about that shitty show.
Anything else?
Yeah, I think that's
again, it's kind of frustrating. It is. It's kind of frustrating. Comic books, you really want to separate the business from the art. You want to separate the business from the hobby, the enjoyment of it. You want to separate commerce and art. And it's more and more, commerce just keeps pushing into. If you are a comic book reader these days, you're being forced to make some tough choices.
But again, just be a fucking individual. Think for yourself. I don't understand how hard it is to drop a fucking book.
Yeah, and what happened just as at the end of this week, at the end of these tapings, right before we started, one of our readers on the blog, which is why it's great to check out the blog, shared a cool link that they saw on
Inside Man.
Inside Man shared a cool link that they saw on Bleeding Cool. Barnes & Noble had a ton of trades for like $5 a piece.
A lot of Marvel trades.
A lot of Marvel trades, a lot of manga, a lot of manga stuff, some Dark Horse stuff. For those who are really obsessive about keeping their runs, guess what? You're going to be able to find those trades later on, and you'll be able to find them for pretty cheap. So you can keep reading the books and enjoying yourself, but you'll just have to maybe wait a little while longer. It's kind of like the same thing that those Apple product buyers find out.
Jesus.
You have to have the iPad when it first comes out, and then a year later, the Apple 2.0, the iPad 2.0 comes out. It's better than the
same
first
mentality.
one.
They'll never get fucked because they know it's somewhere down the road, like 6 months to a year, something better's going to come out. It's going to be cheaper.
And it's going to be cheaper. And all those books that you paid $3.99 for in the beginning are going to end up in the dollar bin.
Yeah, in the dollar bin, or they're going to be in trade paperbacks, and it's going to be cheaper.
And you're going to be able to go to a convention and buy those same books, and you're going to do all those things, and So there are ways around it. I mean, I've seen a lot.
There are ways around it, but there's the big thing is like making an impact on the front side of things.
Exactly.
By just dropping the book, not buying it, saying, having those initial orders decrease, sending a message to the fucking publishers. But if you keep buying the bullshit over and over again for no reason, even if you don't even like the book, just out of habit, that's why things haven't changed.
We've said this a lot. I know I've said this in previous videos. Be a discriminating reader. Be a discriminating consumer. Creators like Scott Snyder, Jeff Parker, even I'll put Jonathan Hickman in there because he's struggled in the indies for a long time, and he's getting out there and trying to really excel in the mainstream. These folks are putting out some incredible work that's getting ignored because our habits of buying the stuff that we are more than willing to bitch about.
Now we throw John Mayberry in there too.
John Mayberry too. Getting ignored because we're choosing between the crap that we always buy and some stuff that we're not sure about. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times that stuff that we're not sure about is really good stuff.
It's usually the better stuff.
Now, maybe years from now, and I'm sure Scott Snyder is not going to mind this. I mean, maybe he's going to become a huge name, and then we'll be able to bitch about him later on. Talk about how he's no longer what he used to be. But again, if no one read Bendis back in the day, he wouldn't be who he is now. Folks, don't ignore the Bendises of today. There are a lot of really good young writers trying to make a name for themselves in the business right now. They need you to give them a chance. But
not too much of a chance, because then they'll turn into the Bendises of tomorrow.
But they need it, and the problem is that they're losing every little advantage that they had. Mm-hmm. So, and because we know that comic books are essentially a cult of personality, you know, sometimes we got to put that aside, put our hero worship aside, and give someone new a chance. And you know, that's the only I think that's a fair way to look at it. I mean, not wrong. If your favorite creator is doing work that you're really happy with, I mean, you're really truly happy with and you're entertained, by all means, continue to support them and buy it and all that. But if you're sitting there and you're looking at this book and you're going, oh man, I just don't enjoy it anymore, don't keep buying it just out of pure habit.
And we give you plenty of other books to pick from if you drop something that are much better.
And there's a lot of really good stuff out there. There's a lot of, I mean, I know we get accused of being haters a lot, you know. I mean, I know it seems that way. There's a lot of really good stuff out there. There is. Comic books are by no means lacking in talent and entertainment, but it seems like the stuff that sells the most is, unfortunately, in many cases, what deserves it the least. But that's kind of the trend in all forms of entertainment, not just comics. It happens in television, happens in movies, happens in all forms of entertainment. So we just expect our CCW nation to be a little more discriminating. All right, so we'll end this there. Your comments, your feedback are always appreciated. Be sure to check out the CCW TV blog. A lot of stuff went down on the CCW TV blog over the last couple weeks. I pissed off a lot of our viewers, and I pissed off Mr. Melendez here.
Which isn't really hard to do.
Really isn't hard to do with some stuff. I'm not going to go into how or why, but let's just say a lot of really compelling discussion went down. And after reading all the different posts and comments that were made, two things happened. One, you guys cracked me up big time. I was just laughing. I was laughing at all the tap dancing that was going on. And two, I said I love this channel. I love this blog. I love our viewers. You guys made it all worth it for me. Made it all worth it. And I wouldn't trade it in the world for anything. So you guys have been awesome. Awesome. Even when I get a little snippy, which is rare, but I still love it. I love you all. So, until next time, this has been Elliot Serrano and Jose Melendez coming to you from Dreamland Comics in Schaumburg, Illinois. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.